The Doctor Who Alhambra Podcast. Real Doctor Who fans with real Doctor Who opinions.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Alhambra Podcast, a podcast dedicated to discussing and reviewing all things Doctor Who, Big Finish, and other science fiction stuff that tickle our fancy. In this episode of the podcast, myself and Liam are going... Well, sorry, I just blew right past everything. Liam's here.
Hello.
Well, we are going to cover the news revolving around the Disney numbers that came out revolving the RTD Part 2 Shurigatwa 15th Doctor series, actually 14th Doctor series, as well as...
That's 15th Doctor. Well, actually, not just that, but we're going to cover a lot this week, isn't it, really? So there's a fair bit kind of been announced. I mean, you know what they say, the... absence makes the podcast grow bigger. So, you know, but no, we're going to cover quite a bit. Disney numbers, ratings. It's probably been covered in other podcasts and videos. But hey, what the hell? Big Finish.
I did a deep dive into what is it? What's his name again? Jim Thorne.
Jack Thorne.
Jack Thorne. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm quite looking forward to it, actually. There's sort of rumors again that they're kind of now going for a more gothic, darker sort of Doctor Who tone, which I think is what they, that's what
have
they want
I
to go
got
for.
news for you?
And I'm like, yeah, let's bring, hit the Hinchcliffe era back, 2.0. But I
set ChatGPT, Copilot, because I don't have ChatGPT on my phone. I set Copilot to do some heavy lifting for me. Have we got some things to talk about regarding Jack Thorne or whatnot? And then we'll conclude the podcast talking about some of the new stuff I'm very excited for revolving around Big Finish.
Yeah, I think honestly. Big Finish is where Doctor Who is at actually currently, isn't it, really? To be honest.
I think that's... I will tell you, I honestly, I think I've mentioned this in a couple of podcasts before. I feel as though if BBC Doctor Who does not get its butt in gear, that's the only Doctor Who that actually feels like Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's. I mean, this is why they're taking the time to, do what they're doing. They've realised that the Disney era hasn't worked. They've realised that they need fresh blood and new blood, and that's why RTT has been given the chance to finish off his era with this Christmas special. And that's why they're looking for new producers and writers, I think. So
yeah,
which it's what it needs. So yeah, definitely a good move, because otherwise it is going to just die on the vine. Yep.
So on the Reddit group, I found this. I know this is the same thing that was referenced earlier, but we do have the breakdown for all of Disney's, information revolving around the ratings and all that stuff. And I think it's quite interesting. On Reddit, the person who posted this almost a month from the time of recording, it's really interesting. It's it starts off with over 2 million with the Star Beast, and I feel as though it's been taken over a course of day of next day or something like that. So you have about over 2 million for Star Beast. It drops off completely 1 million to the Giggle, or by 1 million for the Giggle. And then it drops off
just plummets,
half of that for the Church on Ruby Road, which is interesting because one of the things that they don't show on here, because it goes from the Star Beast directly to the Giggle, it doesn't do Wild Blue. So I'm kind of curious to find out where that information is located. But from
speaking of wobbly yonder, did you did I send you the article that basically like calls out the BBC going, if you're gonna do casting, get it right.
Well,
in regards to like the colorblind casting for casting a black Isaac Newton.
Oh,
yeah. Which I thought was well, I mean, it's fair. I mean, like, it's you're trying to represent history, and you're casting a black Isaac Newton Isaac Newton was never black. So
it would be one thing if RTD decided to, explain the whole thing, but when it was just like
a bit part,
and the only purpose, was the only purpose to annoy people, and was the only purpose for it to have the 14th Doctor acknowledge that Isaac Newton is kind of hot?
and then have the whole Mavity thing as a result, which man, I hate it so much.
I know, so do I. But it's interesting because they completely cut out the Wild Blue, so it goes from Star Beast to the Giggle, but then from the Giggle to the Church on Ruby Road, it doesn't hit 1 million. It's about 800K. And then you have Space Babies, which it goes up to about 1.4 million. Yeah. The Devil's Cord, which, came out back to back, 200,000 people just dropped off between Space Babies and
that's
that.
That's crazy, isn't it? And then it just doesn't recover from there.
Well, the only time it recovered was 73 yards.
Which, again, I don't really like the episode. It doesn't make to me it doesn't make much sense. People go, "Oh, it's really experimental. It's really far." No, it's not far out. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't have a solid conclusion. Explain the whole point of that episode.
Well, the interesting thing also that you have to think about regarding this is, on top of that, Disney has refused. This is a leak. Who knows how it came to be? But Disney has refused to actually do anything or say anything revolving around this. However, they have been very proactive in giving numbers. What was it? Somebody shared, I saw something either on YouTube or something. I don't think it's on DoctorWhoNews.net because I would have found it. And also DoctorWhoNews.net doesn't show negative stuff at the same time. But Disney has been touting a couple of things and been like, hey, this is the, correlated, viewership between both, ABC and Disney Plus, which is basically, airing the same thing at the same time. So you can have the consolidated, but they shouted it out as this is good and this is successful. They never had that once. The only thing that people found is that you could try to find out what were the top 10 most streaming TV shows, the top 10 most streamed TV or movies on Disney Plus, and the only way that they were able to finagle a appearance is they decided to toggle some of the episodes as movies, not TV shows, so it would come in as
as higher up. Crazy. That's ridiculous. But it just goes to show that Disney just were never behind the deal, really, were they?
Well, I mean,
because the marketing, for example, was again never there. Prime example, I see so many complaints on Reddit of going, on the Audible thread. Stop recommending me the full cast Harry Potter. I don't want to listen to it. Well, that's fine. But stop complaining about it. You don't have to buy it. No one's forcing you to buy it. Just ignore the ad.
Oh, yeah.
It's not difficult.
To complain about that, that's ridiculous. That'd be all the ads that I'm getting. I don't know what happened over the past 2 years to Facebook, but whenever I go through my timeline, I don't see most of my friends' posts. I see ads.
Well, that's just Facebook for you.
I know.
Into one massive, just continual, just neon. Well, not neon, but scrolling ad for just various things you might want, Temu and all that stuff, which is just
Oh man,
trash.
Temu, disposable clothing right there.
Yay! Let's buy disposable clothing because that's really environmentally friendly. Great. Cheers, guys. Or Sheen. That's the other one. What is it? What is it with like parents and they get to a certain age and they go, oh, Sheen, yeah, cheap. Like I know, like, you know, my mum is massively into Sheen, and my best friend's mum, and it's just, you know, Sheen, like, yeah, it's cheap shit from China. Who cares? But yeah, so no, but Disney, to go back to the whole marketing thing, they never marketed it. They never. The closest thing we got to marketing was the Avengers Tower 2.0. Literally.
Well,
and that was like in the show. So,
I mean,
so what do you want?
The sad part about that whole thing is, like, did they really want to have a unit towers, or was it just like, oh,
well, it's gone.
Hey,
it's gone. Well, yeah, it's been taken down.
Well, good.
The only set now that's there now is the TARDIS set.
Interesting. Which I will tell you, I did not like that TARDIS set.
I'm glad that the tower's gone, because it was just like, oh yeah, we're unit, we're a top secret organization that everybody knows about and they can see from the skyline. Like, you know, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. Bit of a weird choice, but because that was, you know, the one sort of thing about Unit. Again, Unit, even back in the 70s or 80s, depending on well, time, you know.
Yeah.
What was that? You know, it was a secret organization that, again, people seem to know about, and
a secret organization that also had, you know, a civilians. Welcome entrance also.
It did, but the difference was it wasn't really advertising its presence.
No, like, when you're at the heart of London,
it was just a random army base.
Yeah,
you know,
when you're at the heart of London, you're basically kind of putting a invade here or attack here first.
I mean, and let's face it, like you know, again, not to be like morbid, but terrorists. Hi guys, big tower. I know what target I'm gonna fly towards first. Do you know what I mean? Versus that or a random army base. Don't know. Just seems a bit of an oversight. Like,
yes.
You know, it's just like saying, oh, tomorrow, oh yeah, the MI5 has relocated to you know, the Gherkin. Do you know what I mean? Like, why? Very obvious landmark and very oddly shaped building. Oh yeah, but that's where the secret intelligence has now located themselves. Why? Because they can. So yeah, a bit of a weird choice in my opinion. So I'm kind of glad that that's gone. So, but yeah, I mean, the numbers were just crazy. I mean, no wonder they didn't publish it.
Oh yeah,
because I mean, if that's global figures, it really did not reach a global audience, did it? At this point?
Again, the only people that, you know, couldn't get it on Disney were you guys over in the Great Britain. I mean, I believe Australia got it, and a whole bunch of other.
Well,
you know,
I mean, we got it on iPlayer, and again, if you look at iPlayer's ratings, that's the point. iPlayer's ratings was much higher. All right, it wasn't great.
Well,
but it was still in the millions.
But
like, I mean, it was still 800,000, 900. You know, anywhere from 800,000 to a million to sometimes. I think the highest was 5 million. Was it? So, you know, ultimately I mean, and again, I kind of blame Disney because they did not market the show at all.
No,
you know. Oh yeah, we're gonna reach a global audience. Yeah, how is it then you're meant to reach a global audience if your global audience, you know, isn't being reached, and the UK audience is doubling / tripling the amount of people you're meant to be reaching by a global audience by being on this one channel that no one's tuning into.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just don't understand what they were trying to achieve there.
No, and I mean, here's the only thing I could think of is regarding of what Disney was doing, and also, I believe Legion said at one point in time on the podcast, he liked the money that was going to be funneled in, but I believe there was some leeriness about the possibility of Disney trying to buy this because all they're doing is just absorbing everything.
Yeah, I just
And
think it was like, oh, easy money, cha-ching. Oh,
well,
wait, not easy money. We've lost money. Oops.
well, it's not only that, but I honestly think that Disney was hoping that the BBC would be like, and you can now have the rights going forward. And
yeah. And
because,
they were actually like, no.
and yeah, the BBC is just like, no, like, we have a couple things that are, British institutions. It used to be Top Gear. Now, that's gone.
And again, the other one going forward, and again, I'm glad, and I'm glad for the front man who is really pushing this, and that is the Warhammer franchise being fronted by Henry Cavill, because one, he is a massive nerd. 2, he loves Warhammer. 3, Games Workshop are so protective over the IP. They have to run to Amazon and gone, look, you can do the show, but you are going to obey the law. You're going to obey the because they are renowned for being so strict on publishing stuff, what they put out, what they allow authors to write about, and I'm like, good. That's what The Witcher should have had. The Witcher should have had that level of control, either from Sapkowski, or again Cavill's input as well of Sapkowski, but it didn't, and so I'm really actually looking forward to what they do with Warhammer, because I think with money, that's the kind of franchise that the money's going to need, because you're going to need to do and showcase 6-7 foot tall orcs fighting 8 foot tall space marines and weird and wacky wonderful weapons and stuff, and space battles and and all that kind of thing. So yeah, chuck all the money at it that you want. I mean just look at the you compare and contrast that with the Rings of Power. Like, well, God, why? Like,
that's the interesting thing, is because I've the initial blowback with the Rings of Power is they've done this, they've altered this, that they've created black dwarves or something like that, which without beards and all this other stuff, where there's again. You have so many things. If it's not like J.R.R. Tolkien didn't do so many things. If the Rings of Power were given like this avenue to add or to create, I will say it should have been create. They decided they wanted to add, and I think that's where some of the things are getting tricky. And this goes, into comics. This goes into, Warhammer. This goes into so many different things. Usually how comics are written is you have a character, Daredevil, Batman, something like that, and you have a new writer on it, and they put them through the ringer, and bad stuff happens, and then at the very end, you put them back in the box. They've grown character-wise, but you put them back, you don't alter or change their nature, so that the next person can come along and do that. And when you look at the origins of Doctor Who, you can see that that's exactly what has happened from the second Doctor to the. I've been was watching the all the things about Ennis Lloyd on the on one of the discs for the Savages the other day, and he went from hating sci-fi to he was just like, monster of the week, baby. Let's monster the crap out of this. Hey, I found some nerds, one of them is Kit
Yeah.
Pedler, one of them Jerry Davis.
Jerry,
They
yeah.
gave us some really good ideas. We're gonna go on,
We're going to go with those.
and that's what you need. You have, Malcolm Hulk that adds, social commentary, but he does it in a guise.
In a really, like, okay, he was like left leaning and sort of communist leaning, but he didn't shove it down your throat. Like,
No, he didn't.
It was very subtle, and it was there, but you had to look for it. And
Well, and another thing that was pointed up is there was an episode of the classic Star Trek where Dr. McCoy and Captain Kirk are vehemently at odds with each other. They both disagree. One says we should do this, the other one says we should do that. And they're constantly bickering and arguing throughout the entire episode. And both of them feel as though that they're right. Both of them, their friendship is, kind of not, up for grabs, but
but it's being tested. Yeah,
it's being tested. And at the very end of the day, when the end result occurs, they're still able to be friends. The social commentary for both sides worked its way out. You could almost say that both sides were wrong or both sides were right, or there was, we needed to come together. And that's the message that should be done. And I feel as though, I feel as though we're so into the writer creator saying, this is how I see the world. And this is the only
way you can see the world. Yeah.
Correct.
And again, like, not to get political or whatever, but like, do you feel that the sort of storylines are like, oh, let's jump on the bandwagon and let's just talk about the current issues because that's what's going on right now, and and if you don't agree with the zeitgeist and these issues, then you are wrong. Like,
so here's the thing I'm going to say about that, and I don't want to go into it pure because people want to hear a Doctor Who podcast not talking about politics, but here's what I've noticed, and then you can share what you think about it. But here, on one side, you'll have people that are just like, I can't, like, this is what I believe, and everybody else is a small fringe. And then you have the other side is, this is what I believe, but everybody else is a small fringe. When you kind of look at it, at least over here in America, it's actually 50-50. But everybody is saying, and you do have your extremes on one side or the other, but at the end of the day, you basically have people 50% on this side. Some days it's 51%. The other side, other side's 49%. The other day it could be 52% on the other side, 48% on the other side. But you have this, 50% believe are kind of on this side, 50% are on this side. When you have creators this is my worldview. Nobody else will have this worldview except for a small fringe. So I'm going to make fun of the small fringe. However, they don't understand that their small fringe is actually the other half, the other 50%. And you're pushing them aside. Kind of like what Stephen Moffat said is, I'm not doing the left show, I'm not doing the right show. I'm doing a show.
Yeah. But then, I mean, and again, and you can argue though that, like, you can't separate politics from Doctor Who because it's always been baked into the show.
But when
is a good, which is a good thing. But like you said, if you just push a worldview of a writer of, I don't know, just say about, I don't know, for example, say trans rights or whatever, and it's, oh well, I'm pro this, and therefore, like, if and if you go with the attitude of, well, everyone else is wrong, well, that's not balanced.
Well, for the HBO show,
because
the HBO show has John Lithgow, who he's going to be doing Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And people are just like, hey, that, J.K. Rowling said this, and he just goes, yeah. And like, well, you should quit your job because you don't agree with it. And he's like, no,
it's a job. You still got to get
He goes, this is my job.
Yeah.
I'm an adult. And I can disagree with somebody, but at the end of the day, I'm doing a fun show for kids.
And it's like, so hang on, so yeah, so so I disagree. I vehemently disagree with my boss. But what does that mean? Then I'm going to have to then go. You should find another job because you don't agree with your boss. Well, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Like, come on, guys. And it's yeah. Do I think that J.K. Rowling is a horrible human being? And she's got some really outdated and weird and bizarre views that don't make any sense. Yeah. Do I still like Harry Potter though? Yes. You know, I'm not going to stop listening to Harry Potter just because I don't agree with her views.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's separating the art from the artist.
Yes.
I think especially with this era, Disney Doctor Who, it's lost that. I think
Yes.
it's lost that perspective, which is a shame because that was always the one thing that drew me into Doctor Who. Was it was the quirky ability to sort of, you know, be different and celebrate difference without being obvious about it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with, say, someone like Pat Troughton. You know, he was
Yes.
just this sort of slightly comical, impish kind of outsider who didn't fit in because he, you know, he was scruffy. He, you know what I mean? He just sort of like bumbled his way into a situation, but yet was the one that came out on top just because of who he was trying to be and using his wits and doing the right thing at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've got any other, you know, thoughts to add to that, or
However, I think some of that transitions perfectly to our next topic, which is going to be the possible rumored future showrunner of Doctor Who. I went down a massive rabbit hole earlier today. I'm going to pull this up. And so Jack Thorne is one. You sent me an article and also a thing. He is, so I did figure out who this person is. He wrote the stage play, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. He did the movie Wonder, Enola Holmes. I've heard of that, never watched it. He did the sequels. He did his Dark Materials, which one of these days I'm going to get around to watching.
Yeah, they're really good. I would really recommend them. He did the fades as well.
Yes.
Which I think was actually
Out
the
of
first.
All of the things that I've seen that he has written in his profile, the fades.
That was amazing.
That was amazing.
That was also the one of the first roles that kicked off Kit Harington's career, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was just a shame that kind of got axed. I mean,
I really wish there was a second season of the Fades. It was one of those that developed really slowly. By episode 4, it really went well. It ended on a really interesting cliffhanger, and of course, it was canceled. So
yeah, which is a shame. But yeah, no, it was a really good show.
So, so what I did, because, massive nerd here, I went to Copilot and I asked it, who is Jack Thorne? And let's see, who is Jack Thorne and is he going to be the next Doctor Who showrunner? And so it gave some of the similar entries that I said. They said he is known for deep character work, strong political and social themes, willing to push into darker, more experimental territory, and being extremely fast and reliable as a writer. It says regarding Jack Thorne is being the next showrunner, it says there's a wave of Reddit leaks claiming Jack Thorne is in talks. It noted some YouTubers or whatnot. It says these are not official or credible. Dr. RTD has not stated he is, and other writers like Pete McTeague has publicly dodged questions about show running and fuel speculation of further things.
I think RTD wants Pete McTighe to be the showrunner, but I really don't. I like I said, I want to see Jack Thorne as showrunner. If they've got other showrunners lined up, then that would be interesting to see who else. But if it's not, if it's a toss-up at this point between Pete McTighe and Jack Thorne, then I'd say Jack Thorne because he doesn't really seem to have a bad entry in his bibliography of TV um, shows yet, or movies, which is good. So, as I say, like consistency, I think is good. And interestingly, I didn't know this, but apparently, so your one of your favorite episodes from the 13th Doctor era, Kablam.
Yeah.
Apparently, most of the episode was written by Pete McTighe. The ending, however, was written by Chibnall. Yeah, which you can really see now, because it kind of comes from nowhere, doesn't it? And if you really consider like the, where it was going, and then it was just no, and the guy is actually the guy is the villain, and it's just that explains it. And I think that's what, again, for me, let the episode down, because it was fine up until the reveal of Charlie being the villain, and the stupid, like, oh no, it's not you who's evil, it's it's the system, and blah 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 blah. Okay, so yeah.
So I also, on Copilot, I asked, what would Jack Thorne's era of Doctor Who look like? And this is where I'm really like, so this is what it responded with. It says Jack Thorne's era would look like a emotionally devastating, character-driven storyline. It says Thorne's signature is an intense emotional realism. He writes people at their most fragile, conflicted, and human moments. Companions with deep personal arcs, not just adventure backstories. The Doctor confronting moral injury, guilt, and responsibility. Episode would be built around ethical dilemmas rather than puzzle box plots. Stories that linger on consequences instead of resetting to the following week.
Good.
Yeah. And, it's interesting because we say that, and, I feel as though Chibnall wanted to do that, but he didn't. I think the only one that really did continual tragedy was Stephen Moffat, and I believe Moffat did it only really with the 12th Doctor. I don't believe he had that really as a thing, except for when, Rory went missing, and then was...
say season... I think he tried to do it with season 6 onwards, you can argue, perhaps. Whether that was...
Well, that was the Rory season, though.
Whether that was successful or not, I don't know. You can argue yes or no, but I mean, yeah, I think the 12th Doctor, season 10 is definitely, up there with ongoing storylines. So, yeah, I feel that Jack Thorne would be a good candidate, to be honest. So.
Let's see. So it continues. It says Thorne would work steep in social commentary, which I'm fine at working in. Class iniquity, institutional failures, trauma. Thorne's era would likely include systematic injustice through sci-fi metaphor, which hopefully that means not happening on Earth. Worlds that reflect real-world politic tensions, monsters that represent social anxieties, not just threats. It says that this aligns with the history of his social engagements, like the drama Help, or is it Curie?
Curie, yeah.
It says he'll be darker, more atmospheric. The Doctor might be haunted, lyrical, and let's see. Expect quiet, eerie episodes with slow burn tensions. Emotional horror rather than jump scares. Alien worlds that feel lived in and melancholy, which I would love that. Because, even, that, what was it, Dot and Bubble or whatnot, that did not feel like a lived in world. It felt like a fake world.
It felt like... I mean, yeah, it was one of the better episodes of the Disney era, right? But it felt like, sort of hinder if that was brought into into reality,
Yeah.
like, which yeah. And can we please have an alien companion that looks alien?
Yeah. Well, and
that isn't humanoid, or isn't human looking.
so
Like,
I did ask regarding doctors and companions in a little second. He's co-pilot says that his visual palette closer would be closer to his Dark Materials rather than the RTD neon pop, and that Thorne excels at mood, and he'd bring that to Doctor Who. He says the companions would feel like real people, come from working class and marginalized background, carry emotional scars, challenge the Doctor in uncomfortable ways, and have
Didn't use
arcs
it.
that span seasons, not episodes.
Yep.
It says think less plucky adventures and more complex human beings.
Good. That's what we need.
Co-pilot said that monsters will have emotional weight. He writes broken people, monsters that are tragic, not evil, antagonists who mirror the Doctor's flaws, conflict resolved through empathy, not technobabble. This would be a major tonal shift from RTD's current blockbuster style. And he says that Thorne's dialogue will be poetic, raw, minimalist, and emotionally surgical.
Sign me up.
Ah. I mean, as I did this, so then I asked it, it gave me a couple options, and I said, could you give me what the first arc of the Jack Thorne Doctor Who series as showrunner would be? And so this is what it says. So it even gave, season title, episode names, and arcs. So the season title is The Burden of the Lonely Star. And the arc is built around one of Thorne's favorite themes, and that theme is, what does it cost to be the one who saves everyone? And it says this is not about lore dumps or cosmic retcons. It's about the Doctor's emotional architecture cracking under pressure. It says the long season-long premise would be a strange phenomenon begins following the Doctor, a star that only appears to people in moments of unbearable loneliness. It's not a monster. It's not a prophecy. It's a wound in the universe, a mirror of the Doctor's own unresolved grief. Every episode brushes against it. Every companion sees it differently, and every villain is shaped by it. By the finale, the Doctor must confront the truth. The Lonely Star is something that the Doctor created unconsciously during a moment of catastrophic emotional collapse. It's not a weapon. It's not a paradox. It's a cry for help that the universe heard.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah. And then it gave me a perhaps episode by episode breakdown. Episode 1 is The Star That Won't Die. It is the Doctor meets his new companion in the aftermath of a personal tragedy. A dying star appears in the sky where there no star should be. People begin to confessing their deepest regrets to strangers. The Doctor treats it as a puzzle, but the star reacts to them. Let's see. Episode 2 is The House That Remembers You. This is an emotional horror story, which co-pilot says that is Thorne's specialty, a house that replays the worst day of your life until you confront it. The next one is the Children of the Silent Choir, a political sci-fi with disability rights metaphor. Episode 4 is The Man Who Refused to Regenerate, a character study, minimal effects. Episode 5 is The Last Safe Place, which is social realism meets sci-fi. Episode 6, The Girl Who Knew the Ending. Thorne loves preconscious preconscious tragic children. Episode 7 is The War That Never Happened, a big sci-fi but emotionally grounded. And then the finale is The Burden of the Lonely Star, mythic, intimate, and devastating. They also said, co-pilot also said that Thorne will, if he is the showrunner, do emotional horror, which has been discussed, socially conscious sci-fi, and intimate two-hander episodes, which he did do in the Fades a couple times.
I don't remember that, I must admit, but
Yeah.
that's
And then you have tragic villains, and then it gave me a breakdown of it asked me I asked it, would you give me what kind of doctor he would cast and what companion or companions if it's a multi-companion TARDIS crew? So co-pilot suggests that Jack Thorne will gravitate to actors who can do quiet devastation, moral ambiguity, and emotionally transparent. The doctor needs to be soft-spoken but intense, carries grief like a second heartbeat, kind to a fault but capable of frightening honesty, a face that looks like it has seen too much, a performer who can break your heart with a single line. And so they'd be looking at casting somebody in their late 30s to mid 40s, and a doctor who feels like a poet trapped in a war-survived body. The doctor won't be quirky under Thorne. Their compassion is weaponized.
Mm-hmm.
And the co-pilot believes that there will be two companions. The anchor companion, which will be a working-class adult in the late 20s, early 30s, grounded emotionally, intelligent, but carrying private grief. And the second companion will be a teenager, sharp, wounded, brilliant in ways they don't understand yet, will challenge authority, see truths adults avoid, and force emotional honesty. So yeah, I went down a really interesting rabbit hole trying to figure out the possible, and we don't even know if Jack Thorne's going to be the showrunner.
No, we don't even know. But I'm up for that though. So let's just make it a reality.
So, to our next topic, many new announcements from Big Finish. One of the first ones that you shared with me is Turlough and the Sixth Doctor reunite. Colin Baker, Mark Strickson, and Nicola Bryant star in the Sixth Doctor Adventures Expulsion, a brand new box set of full cast audio dramas due to release in April 2026. The Doctor and Perry are reunited with an old friend or an enemy. Turlough insists he's changed since they last met, but the trouble is, so has the Doctor, and he's not inclined to trust this one. This is interesting, because is this going to be older Perry, or is this younger Perry? Okay.
Perry.
Because it's interesting to find out what, where her... Because, again, the Big Finish has... gone away with the monthly range, and, so that there could be easier jumping on points. And I feel as though, unless this is some sort of fake Turlough or something like that, I feel as though they're giving everybody a jumping on point of a character that people are not aware of his evolution and whatnot. We're just familiar with who he has been since, the first time we saw him in...
Listen to the box set Bad Terms.
Okay, well, did that come out last year?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a Fifth Doctor or is that a Sixth Doctor?
Sixth Doctor.
Okay. All right, so we have that. I will tell you, the cover art has me mildly intrigued because it looks like there's a werewolf in the background. And
okay.
I will tell you, I am a sucker for a werewolf story. So, yeah. So we have that. If I go back, the next thing that you shared with me was the Bond, the young Bond. And I
mean, that's been Haig Ellery's dream for ages, though. Like, to get the Bond IP.
I don't know, because I do really love James Bond. I love the old movies. Controversial. I like more of Roger Moore's stories than I do Sean Connery's. Yes, I'm that person. So, I guess you could say take whatever I say with a grain of salt.
I mean, no. I mean, everyone has their Bond. I mean, I
Yeah.
personally like my Bond was. It's like saying who was your doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two questions of, I suppose, of British society, or not topical, but
hmm
zeitgeist films was. You could say who was your doctor, who was your Bond. Well, Troughton, and for me, Brosnan. So.
hmm
I grew up.
Oh, yeah.
I watched Goldeneye on repeat, like just
Oh, GoldenEye
so
was
many
such a
times,
fantastic one.
so many times. Like I literally couldn't watch that movie and know know what's going on, like frame by frame. So my first movie that I saw, I think I was age 13 or
Mhm.
14. I was taken to the cinema, was The World Is Not Enough. So I've got a lot of fond memories of sort
Mhm.
of the GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, World's Not Enough kind
Mhm.
of trilogy of films for me.
Oh, you're forgetting Die Another Day.
Oh yeah. I mean, but I mean,
Sorry,
out
you
of
only listed off 3 of the
three.
Pierce Brosnans. So I was like,
Sure.
no,
I mean,
there's a fourth
Die
one.
Another Day isn't bad, but I think out of the 4, I think those 3, to me at least, stand out more. I think also because of the soundtracks.
Mhm. I don't know. Die
So
Another Day has Madonna. I feel as though that one's a lot better than The World Is Not Enough.
I don't know. I always found that really catchy personally, but I think also it has a lot of weight as well, because I think when I went to watch it, we just found out that what's his name?
M or the Q guy?
No, Edmund.
Oh,
the guy who played Q died.
yeah. That's yeah.
So it kind of sticks in the memory quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've not read Young Bond, so I
Neither
can't
have I.
comment.
So I'll give it, because I love Bond so much. I think I'm in, but
I think this might be the testing the waters for. I spoke to Legion about this as well, and I think he like came up with this and said this, and I do agree with him. I think this is generally testing the waters to see how the young Bond stuff goes, and then I think they might then cast and do the Bond novels as audio plays.
That would be awesome.
Which could be really cool.
That would be awesome.
Because I mean, they do a really good job of doing Callan and sort of
well, I mean, they did a really good job of the prisoner until
the last of
one.
the prisoner and I mean, I wasn't fond of the Avengers the Lost episodes myself.
See, those were the ones I liked the most.
I mean, again, casting, great casting for Steed and Keel, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Who played Steed?
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
But yeah, really good casting. And so I think Big Finish have the experience and the know-how to, I think, cast a really interesting Bond. So I am interested to see where it goes, and I hope it does well, because I would like them to go and do the books from Fleming.
Oh yeah.
Just keep it. Just do those. Just do the
because
the books.
Out of all the books, the only one that really stayed true to anything was Casino Royale. Everything else is like, the title's the same and James Bond's in the movie, but
I mean, you can argue that Casino Royale was done well. the most recent Casino Royale.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I'm not
which,
talking
which,
about the one from the weird one from the 70s.
yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, again, really good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really good movie, and an interesting kind of holdover from the fact that you got M from the Brosnan era.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a very interesting takeaway. So yeah, I'm generally intrigued to see how that goes, and like I said, I think that's something that Hay Gallery has wanted for years. Like he's always mentioned about wanting Bond stuff, and doing Bond. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, cool. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. All right. Next, and a couple of these I've been really excited to talk to you about. This one, let's see, let me find it right here. We got the Rutans versus the Centaurans. Once again, we have 4 audios. Now, we talked previously about this, the first Rutans versus Centaurans, and it was okay.
Or sometimes versus Rutans. I mean, it's basically series 2, isn't it, of this? So,
Yes.
like,
And so
which
this
is
is
fine. I mean,
well, it's fine,
this
but
is
I want it. I want battles. I don't want. I feel as though by the time we got to episode 4, nothing mattered, and there was no. It was always they tried to one up each other using this one technology that didn't really work. I feel as though like the Third Doctor storyline was great. I feel as though the Eighth Doctor with Charlie was great. I love that Charlie was with the Sixth Doctor too and had already previously experienced some of this stuff. By the time it got to the last episode, though, I didn't feel as though it could have. I re-listened to many tracks of the last episode multiple times, trying to figure out what I missed because it just didn't seem to, I don't know, hit home with me. And I mean, some of the stuff was very obvious. And because the whole obviousness of everything, when, they go in to try to find this one person, and then you found that this person was overtaken, and then people were kind of like, I actually don't agree with this and I refuse to participate in this whatsoever. And it's just like, okay, well, they're a Rutan. Like I feel as though it's just like, why is everybody like being caught off guard? It's just like, oh, this person was this way and this way, and then they just had a 180 in personality. Like I guess the only reason why that it went on that long really was because of the whole Rutan defense mechanism that they had set up, and it wasn't being sent off. But I feel as though that could have been so much better.
I mean, I liked it. It was a surprise series that I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did. Like not in a bad way. Because I was like, oh, finally we're getting some Sontaran Rutan lore, and they're covering this, and why haven't they done this sooner? Like, it was kind of a no-brainer to me. So I'm like, finally they're covering a 50-year-old kind of bit of lore that like they should have covered years ago. But yeah, I'd like to see the Sontaran Rutan War done from the perspective of, say, something like Dalek Empire. Just have humans, and have Rutans and Sontarans just fighting, and have the human protagonists in the middle, just trying to figure out what the hell is going on. So I think there's still room for that. So I if they do a series 3, then cool, do that. That would be awesome. I'm interested to see if Big Finish can, like, if they end the war, and if they do, how that actually ends. But it's going to be interesting.
Well, it's going to be also interesting because with the Eighth Doctor going back with Charlie, and then Karez is there. It's going to be quite interesting to find out what really stuck from the first one, because again, it was one of those. It didn't happen. It did happen. Things got reset. It wasn't as bad as the infamous Return to Telos, whatever. Where like that one, I will always hold against until I get my money back. I will never give up on that being the worst thing Big Finish has. Second worst thing. Sorry, I now remember the other thing I want my money back, and that is the New Earth box set.
I must admit, speaking of also Big Finish and things as well, I'm glad I wrote the email into Big Finish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How was that? How did that go?
Oh, completely. They read out the email. Nick actually broke down a very long explanation of he was doing the voices, and he showed how they sounded and stuff, which was kind of cool. And the fact that the issues that they ran into during recording, so he did them dry. And there wasn't enough direction given by the sound engineer, and the sound engineer just ran with one set of voices, which is why when he heard it, he was mortified that like he just used one voice. So he, I think, went to another sound designer and basically gave him extensive notes. And the other sound designer, I think it's Howard Carter, has gone through and is re-editing all the cyber voices for the voices that should have been in it, and they're going to, one, reissue the downloads, and two, reissue all the CDs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I do wonder.
Did they mention that there was any other complaints, or they read your email?
No, they said that. No, they said actually that not many people complained about it, which he said it was very odd, which he said he didn't understand. So on one hand, he said he was mortified when he read reviews online about it, but then two, he said not many people noticed the Cybermen voice issue, which is interesting.
That is interesting.
I'm kind of glad I wrote the email, because I think I think I single-handedly got a resolution to that, which I'm kind of pleased for, because that really did piss me off. So, yeah, kind of glad I did.
Random funny thing. I just clicked on something by accident. The Rutans versus the Centaurans, the Sixth Doctor adventures with Perry. The Rutan on the cover looks like not the Rutan. The Centauran on the cover looks like the barely Centauran that was featured in the Two Doctors. You know how they progressively just got like taller and taller and like less looking like Centaurans. This the one on the cover art for that one looks basically like that, just barely a Centauran.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I like that. Like I said, I like the Two Doctors. Always have done, and yeah, okay, and I mean, maybe they'll explain the reason for those Centaurans. Maybe there'll be like a genetic abnormality, or maybe they'll come back and say, actually, no, these Centaurans are actually Rutans, but they are masquerading as Centaurans. And maybe they don't know it. Like maybe they're like sleeper agents or something, which I think would be really interesting. Which could really like recontextualize the Two Doctors. But no, I that would be cool. So,
all right, and I think the last one we got is the War Doctor meets the Ronnie. We finally, possibly because of the new series, this could be one thing that we can like high five RTD Part 2 era or whatnot, getting the Ronnie back into continuity, because we had Sabone, is it Sabone? Redman?
Siobhan,
who played the Ronnie in Irish. in 2014 in the Ronnie Elite, and then 2015 in Planet of the Ronnie,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then
So I'm.
they lost the rights, and
No, they literally they lost the rights, but they literally lost the address and couldn't find the address to contact Pip and Jane Baker's estate to ask for the rights back.
that's sad.
They didn't contact the BBC. They thought they were contacting the right address. Turns out they weren't. So they finally figured that out, and that's why they've now got her back after 10 years. So it's just
the other
okay.
reason why that that person never got back to him. You know who address they were actually sending stuff to, right?
No, who?
Michael Grade.
Maybe.
Yeah, he was just like, I could.
Oh,
pass
Doctor
this
Who.
along.
This? No.
It was just like,
shit.
I could put return to sender. This is not the correct address, but I won't because it's Doctor Who.
But no, so I'm glad that they've finally got the rights back, and I'm really intrigued for this story. I must admit, because it's maybe going to fill in stuff that we didn't get from Wish World and the Reality War.
Well, and
So
I think there's a strong possibility of that because guess when they recorded this?
when?
The 3rd through the 5th of December 2025. This was just barely recorded at time of recording about 2 months ago. So there is a possibility that we can possibly get some filler in. We might not, but there's a possibility.
Well, no, because if you read the info bit from Rachana Patel, she specifically says.
All right, so it says writer Rachana Patel says it's been over 10 years since the Ronnie's last Big Finish appearance. A rematch is long overdue. Where's she been? What has she been doing as the universe burns? Yeah, exactly. Chris Chibnall. Where does the exiled Ronnie stand in the war between the Time Lords and the Daleks? All these questions will be answered, and in these dark and terrible days, are the Ronnie and the Doctor and the War Doctor enemies or something else? For this epic 3-part story, I wanted to completely re-examine the Ronnie as a character, revisit the apathetic scientist, yes, scientist, RTD, scientist, that we first encountered in Mark the Ronnie, her backstory with the Doctor, and explore what makes her into the woman who reemerges in Wish World and the Reality War. This is very much the missing piece of the Ronnie's. Hallelujah. Why? Okay, why does the main show, even Stephen Moffat to some extent with, the whole, what was it? With the, which is familiar, the hybrid. Why did it take Big Finish to fix that? Why?
I mean, they fixed it, but annoyingly, they wiped it because it didn't happen because of bloody Once and Future. But
I know, but at least
at least they tried. Yeah, at least they did it. I know.
At least they did it. Why do the show itself, the BBC run show itself, doesn't seem to care about like the nerdiness. Like, JNT, love him or hate him for some of the stuff that he did, he was a massive fan of the show and he wanted to do certain things. Regardless of whether you feel as though the Cartmel Master Plan was going to be good or not, at least he seemed to be a fan of the show and wanted to make and do certain things going forward. Sometimes with this whole Timeless Child, with the bi-regeneration, you kind of have to wonder, do you really like the show?
Because you can guarantee that Big Finish are going to be the ones that are going to explain the full bi-regeneration stuff.
Yes. And hopefully
it's not going to be RTD, is it?
It's not going to be RTD. I honestly think that it's going to be like if the BBC does do it, or the Big Finish will do it right, kind of like the whole hybrid thing. I feel as though if you leave it to the BBC, just similarly to what happened with the Timeless Child, going into the heart of the TARDIS or whatnot, it's going to be kicked down so long that nobody will care by that point in time. The people that are ticked by the Timeless Child will continue to be ticked. They'll never, ever hear about what happened because.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel as though the only people that will ever be in the know are people that are Big Finish listeners.
Yep. But then that's 90% of Big Finish listeners, and that's where we get our deep lore from.
Well,
because
that's the difference.
They bother to do it.
Well, but that's the difference. You have, again, 2011 rolled around, and you had, the Matt Smith 11th Doctor or whatnot, and, Doctor Who became pop culture, but still ingrained in Big Finish was the lore, was everything. The BBC show from, I honestly believe, from probably about the 11th Doctor on, has been trying to be as flashy as possible. Because go with me with this. Just think of the massive amount of upgrades that went into the interior of the TARDIS console room. It was very grungy, very dark, very piecemealed together. Whereas you had the 11th Doctor with two different ones. You had the 12th Doctor with two different ones. You had the 13th Doctor with shards of rock coming out of it for some unknown reason. You had the 13th or the 15th Doctor with a TARDIS console room that,
just had a jukebox in it.
Was massive on the inside, but it didn't do anything. So all you could say is, well, it was spacious. The Doctor had a lot of room.
Oh, it had spacious and it had ramps.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was my thought? I had a thought and it's gone now.
Oh.
Doctor Who, TARDIS, interiors, stuff.
Gone?
Yeah, gone.
All right.
Damn.
Well.
Hang on, because I do want to talk about it if I can get it back.
Okay.
So,
but yeah, why does Big Finish constantly have to be, the big brother that has to clean up after, actually it's more or less the little brother. Why is the Big Finish constantly the little brother that's having to pick up after the big brother or the parents? For that matter.
Yeah, and it's annoying, and I wish they get more, more recognition for it. Really, like, within the show, not just Radio Times and the BBC and whatever, like outlets, like because they are being recognized more by outlets and things. It's just they're not actually. It's not translating into the show. Which I feel it should, because like you say, that was it. Yeah. Prime example of that, right? Big Finish bringing back and tying up a loose end with the Daleks, the new Paradigm Daleks.
Yeah,
a fantastic box set. If you've not listened to that one yet, or
which one is that?
The 11th Doctor box set, Geronimo onwards.
Oh. I need to get around to that. That's on my list of things to do.
Oh, dude, seriously, some of the best stuff Big Finish put out that year. You really need to listen to those box sets.
All right.
Victory of the Doctor is amazing because, like I say, they bring back the new Paradigm Daleks. Firstly, they do it in a really cool way, and secondly, they expand upon the actual lore of those Daleks, which we never got in the show. So yeah, well worth listening to. So
okay.
I'd say go and listen to them. And I think you'll I don't know. I think you'll really enjoy those personally, because I mean I did, and I really liked what was her name?
Oh,
Valerie.
yeah.
Valerie
Uh-huh.
as a companion. So well worth listening to.
All right. Well, I guess with that, we will conclude the podcast. We will try to meet again. I have listened to the first 2 episodes of the what is it? The Cyberman episode or whatnot.
Oh, what cyber? What the stuff?
Cybergene.
Cybergene. Well, you might as well wait until he gets re-edited. So,
I know.
there's no point now.
Exactly. All right. Well, I guess with that, we will conclude this episode and meet once again. You have been listening to the Doctor Who Alhambra Podcast. Doctor Who is owned and trademarked by the BBC. Doctor Who Alhambra is not affiliated with the BBC or Big Finish. No infringement is intended. Visit our website at alhambrapodcast.weebly.com or email the show at alhambraaudio@gmail.com. Tweet us at Alhambra Podcast. That is ALHAMBRA Podcast. Thank you.